7번째 모듈입니다. 문장의 양념 역할을 하는 전치사가 들어가는 문장인데 영어의 모든 문장 유형 중 제일 많이 쓰이는 문장입니다. 전치사는 그 종류가 많아 아무래도 분량이 많습니다. 모두 세 파트로 나뉘어 진행됩니다. 자, 먼저 도입부에 들어있는 예문부터 공부하겠습니다.
He was dressed in black. He pressed down on the brake pedal. He looked out of the window. The boy showed up from behind the curtain. Because of your help, I could succeed. In spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. You stay out of it. Think out of the box. We live in a fishbowl. He is above telling lies. They prayed to God for mercy. Misfortune never arrives alone. I'm anxious about being late for my flight. He does not study except under compulsion. She looked at me with frost in her gaze. Wash your hands before eating. He is involved in working out a puzzle. What's the hardest things about being a talented actor? Don't worry about what he said. I know nothing except that he lives next door. Men differ from animal in that they can think and talk. She did nothing but cry. She had no choice but to laugh. It's nothing but a joke. Who but Paul would do such a thing? I have met him since then. Things went from bad to worse. She smiled. The paint was coming off the wall. He got off the train. Please sit down. He goofed off on his job. I switched off the light in my room. The progress of a student in his studies. A proposal for a ban on the use of nuclear weapon. A company with good prospect for growth. With a rifle across one shoulder. He came in at the front door. He came in by the front door. He came in through the front door. He blundered through the hall. He blundered into a lady's room. He blundered against the wall. He blundered alone. He blundered about in the dark. Hot off the press. He tumbled off a ladder. He tumbled over a cliff. I had to use the screwdriver to pry the lid off the paint can. He plunged overhead into the river. I heard of him, but I've never heard about him. How did you learn of our product? How did you learn about our product? She hungers after luxury. She hungers for food. He pushed the door. He pushed against the door. Mother shouted to me. Mother shouted at me. I gave him a blow on the brow. I gave him a blow in the face. He got a bullet in the back. He caught me by the arm. He led her by the arm. The cup fell off the table onto the rug. The cat hopped off the branch onto the roof. The ice slipped off the counter to the floor.
이제부터 본격적으로 모든 전치사에 대해 예문을 중심으로 공부를 시작하겠습니다. 먼저 전반부로서 about부터 포까지입니다.
He is about my size. They are about to leave. She's crazy about reality TV. I'm sorry about not ringing back. It's about time. You are in bed. What are you talking about? He doubts about everything. He traveled about the country. We talk about going on a picnic. Watch him as he talks about you behind your back. The two parties agreed about what to do. He bet everything that he had about him. I browsed about the second-hand bookshops. Stop beefing about your pay and do some work. Let's think about hobbies like photographing or painting. He goes about the rural areas lecturing on the evil of drink. He complained about having been ignored by his supervisor. The nature of his business enables him to go about the world a great deal. Our neighbor said that if we made any more noise, he'd complain about us to the police. Health is above wealth. He lives above his means. San Francisco is above Los Angeles. His magnificent behavior is above all praise. There was a woman's voice, rising shrilly above the barking. That plant once ranged across the Americas. Roughly 7,000 cars have driven across the border. Diane lived diagonally across the street from my house. The policeman sprinted across the street after the fleeing robber. I shouted after him. He aspires after fame. My mother asked after you. The ground pocks after the rain. He limped after his skiing accident. His name came after mine in the list. The rehearsal continued after a 10-minute break. Luke goes against me. He plotted against the regime. He rebelled against the establishment. He struggled against all kinds of adversity. Raindrops patter against the window panes. Fed drops of rain rattled against the window. The populace murmured against the heavy taxes. Are you against allowing girls to join our team? He argued against the abolition of death penalty. Father was against his daughter marrying too young. He swam against the stream. They walked along the Fifth Avenue. The bus bumped along the street. He plodded along the road with great fatigue. Let's proceed along the schemes, I suggested. He is among the best skiers. He ranks high among them. He ranks among the best-seller writers. A 15-year-old girl was among the injured. That was among the things he proposed to me. I was lucky to be brought up among people who read and wrote a lot. We serve around the clock. The earth goes around the sun. He likes to travel around the world. Bees are buzzing around the flowers. The boxers swaggered around the ring. Students lingered around the coffee shop. 6 men sat around the table playing poker. She arrived as a writer. I resigned as president. Saltax as preservative. He masqueraded as chaplain. He classes as a true believer. The paragraph reads as follows. Your silence will be read as consent. The soldier was posted as missing. He doubles as a producer and director. He is a child, and he is treated as such. The boy was pointed at as an example. He is not up to his father as a musician. The painting has been denounced as bogus. The results came as a surprise to many people. This disease begins as minute points on the skin. He ranks as one of the best guitarists of all time. It's acknowledged as the finest restaurant in London. Failure in economy may emerge as a political issue. This is a picture that can be passed as a genuine Monet. I've been around for more than 5 years as a second-rate singer. Hamlet is considered as an example of a Shakespeare's tragedy. The First Lady will appear as a guest on a children's TV program. The term is sometimes used as a derogatory synonym for megachurch. Stress is widely perceived as contributing to coronary heart disease. A man, whom I easily recognize as Ted's father, sat with a newspaper on his lap. Their action raised the question of whether they should be treated as war criminals. He is seen as having made a significant contribution towards the eradication of corruption. It emerged as one of global hot issues, how to preserve the tropical primitive forest in Brazil. A big-sized screen TV now emerged as a family's third largest purchase after the house and the car. Look at you. Let it go at that. He rang at the door. He pulled at a rope. She winked at a man. Will they sell at a loss? She yelled at her child. His dog snapped at me. He is a student at Oxford. She pecked at her husband. What's showing at the theater? The train calls at every station. He beefed at extra night work. I don't really look at it that way. The thermometer stands at 40 degrees C. He got at the heart of the matter. To gardens join at the hedge wall. She got melted at his so sweet words. The ball landed at the far side of the line. She likes a dress that hooks at the front. The baby was nursing at its mother's breast. Can you get at the book on the top of shelf? She knocked at the door, but nobody answered. The curtain rises at 9 o'clock a.m. and falls at 6 o'clock p.m. He frowned at me for laughing. He raged at his son for telling a lie. Don't laugh at me because I'm fat. Stick at it and you'll pass the exam. The news leapt at me from the board. She wondered at his not coming sooner. A drowning man will catch at a straw. Temperatures fluctuate at the change of seasons. People of various backgrounds intermingled at the party. He who would climb the ladder begins at the bottom. I can't look at him acting like he is all that. Tom stared at her in disbelief, shaking his head. He snapped at the opportunity to study abroad. Fortune knocks at least once at every man's gate. That guys are at that again. They're always fighting. The one enthroned in heaven laughs, the Lord scoffs at them. The head chef used to shout at the staff to encourage them to work harder. He went before me. Pride goes before destruction. Pride will have a fall. A great future lies before him. There before 10% VAT. He would buy before surrendering. The sailing boat drove before the strong wind. The troublemakers were called before the principal. He came before a judge, accused of stealing. The snow will have disappeared before the end of March. Good health comes before money in order of importance. 90% of a child's brain development happens before age 5. Her work is below comment. Rainfall has been below average. The sun had already sunk below the horizon. Romeo waited below the window until she opened it. You shouldn't eat between meals. Angry words passed between two gents. I had to choose between getting married and taking up a career. Love is beyond all human control. He is quite beyond hope of recovery. It's beyond me why he did not succeed. The theory is beyond the reach of my understanding. The paintings were beyond my expectations. The downtown has changed beyond recognition. I failed the test despite studying all the nights. The National Health Service has visibly deteriorated despite increased spending. Chills ran down my spine. She pulled down the slope. He marked down the prices. She tumbled down the stairs. He always scowls down his wife. The whole plan went down the drain. He is climbing down the ladder. He's climbing up the ladder. Tears rolled down my cheeks during the wedding. The train of the wedding dress swept down the aisle. An ambulance, with its lights flashing and its siren on, raced down the street. The bear sleeps during the winter. A Mr. Clark called twice during your absence. Sandstorms are common during Saudi Arabian winter. Nobody was hungry except me. I'm free every day this week except Friday. He's always cheerful except when he is penniless. Go for it. Give it a try. He went for a ride. He yelled for joy. He shouted for a nurse for help. He left for Chicago. I'm dying for a smoke. Work is a drug for him. He's a workaholic. Let's hope for the best. He rang for a secretary. He stretched for a book. Ted reached for the butter. His action calls for praise. Would you care for coffee? Would you like to have a cup of coffee? You'll pay for your laziness. Are you seeking for trouble? He blushed for shame. He plotted for a kidditat. They clamor for higher wages. You may be craving for fresh air. The thief whined for forgiveness. I stand for free trade. $1 exchanges for 1,110. The pain will persist for a couple of days. What do the initials who stand for? The facts account for his ignorance. Comic account for 80% of the story. Import from Thai accounts for 30% of the total. He alibied for being late. Where are you heading for? You'll act for me while I'm gone. 1,000,000 girls would kill for this job. The jury found for the plaintiff. The desert stretches for hundreds of miles. Everybody is calling for sweeping reforms. Are you looking for something in particular? PhD. Students usually look for jobs in academia. The meeting was arranged for Monday morning. What do you do for exercise? I jog in the morning. Accommodation is free. All you pay for is breakfast and dinner. You shouldn't be merely sitting and waiting for someone to help you. 3 members are lacking for a quorum. Don't blame anyone, as you've asked for it. This shirt sells for $10 like hotcake. Carrot is searching for the child to kill him. This girl is unusually articulate for a 7-year-old. He was prosecuted for concealing facts, material to the investigation. We had a very boring trip. Speak for yourself. I had a wonderful time. The boy carried a big bag by himself. The door opened by itself.
전치사는 수식어구여서 중요 도면에서 떨어질지 모르지만 여러분들이 영어를 자유자재로 주물러 사용하기 위해서 깊이 이해해야 하고 이해뿐만 아니라 쥐락펴락 실제 활용할 줄 알아야 합니다. 드린 예문만이라도 자주 읽고 듣고 봄으로써 전치사에게 가까이 다가가시기 바랍니다.